What's up, guys? Well, I'll tell you, I feel rusty. It's been a while. I've been doing too much recruiting, I guess. I got to polish up on my media again. But signing day sure has changed. We signed them all up in December. Used to be that this was the big day. So we spent all of January really seeing 25s who you can now legally talk with and identifying 26s and getting out and about pretty good. So I think we got a lot done. And this time of year, I always give the coaches a few days off, come back Tuesday, ready to go. I'll get away. Don't want to get away, but my wife convinced me I needed to get away. So I'll try to enjoy that, rather be watching tape, be honest with you. But, and then it'll be ball, all ball. Looking forward to spring ball. And players have been doing a good job down in the weight room with Dereck out on the field, strength and speed. So looking forward to it.
All right, Matt, and then Mike Nays. Guys, say your name and outlet, please.
Hey, Coach. Matt Weaver at the 247 Sports. How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to ask you, the recruiting department there got overhauled since last season. When you started your search for a new guy, what were you looking for and what kind of intrigued you about Matt Wilson?
I was just looking for a good structure and capable people and put together an organization that was strong in evaluation and marketing. And I think we're extremely strong in evaluation, impressed with Matt, have known him a long time, had some good discussions with him, and we've hired really good people underneath of him, Mike Ferrara and John Schroff, two veteran guys. So, I like the way that's going right now, and it's a critical component in terms of expediting the evaluation and identifying people, both within the state and that 4-hour radius and then in those out-of-pocket areas.
All right, Blake, and then Zach Osterman.
Curt, Mike Nisluk from the Herald Times. With spring practice kind of establishing a plan and a structure, what have you found are the keys to getting the most out of it? Anything unique about your approach, and what have you kind of learned over the years to try to maximize spring camp?
Well, there's no scoreboard, so everybody has a great spring. You want to develop players, get your offense, defense, special teams systems in, and see improvement on a daily basis. Keep guys healthy. Don't get anybody injured. So usually in spring, the second half of spring looks a lot better than the first half of spring. There's going to be a lot of new nomenclature, new people, be a different practice structure than the guys that have been here in the past are accustomed to. So I think all the coaches are really excited to get going. But, we still have a month of offense and defensive staff meetings coming up to get everybody on the same page. We got 3 new defensive guys on that side of the ball. And, of course, Bob Bostad's new on the offensive side of the ball. So, we still have some things to get done there, but looking forward to getting out on the field.
Zach and Mason.
Curt, Zach Osterman, Indianapolis Star. I guess kind of following on from that, when you think back to your first spring and going through this process in other jobs, when you kind of been new in those jobs, what are the things that you, whether it's from your coaches, whether it's from, talking with your strength staff about progress that your players are making, that you kind of draw from, I guess, when you start building your plan for spring and start sort of building your goals and things like that?
Yeah, well, I don't think the schedules have changed a whole lot through the years. We sort of have a blueprint and a way of doing things, a way we practice. Getting the players accustomed to the way we practice, it's up-tempo, fast, organized, guys, constant movement. But all you're looking for is sort of individual development, but start to build that kind of team identity. This is who we are. This is how we practice. This is how we play. This is how we play every play. Fast, physical, relentless, finish one play at a time, 6 seconds of play. Every play's got a life and a history of its own. Finish, not affected by success, not affected by failure, on to the next play. You get them practicing that way at the beginning of spring, beginning of fall camp, get them playing that way in the games. Then at the end of the game, in those close games, it's a process. You're doing your thing. 11 guys doing their job. It's not addition, it's multiplication. and you don't have like some guy, I got to make a play, affected by the circumstances of the game. So that's what we try to establish at the beginning. That normally takes time with a new team. They don't get it at first. A lot of times when you inherit a team, it's who wins the drill, who wins the play. That's not really kind of the purpose. We're just trying to get consistency and performance, play at a high level, play in, play out.
Mason and Jack.
Coach Mason Williams with the Hoosier.com. You mentioned that right now your team is kind of in the hands of your head strength and conditioning staff. What kind of feedback are you getting from them so far? And is it the kind of response to your kind of messaging that you're hoping to see so far?
Yeah, well, Dereck Owings is a guy I got a lot of confidence in. Strength and conditioning has really changed through the years. It's become a very scientific thing. I think he's on the cutting edge, gets great results. I have 100% confidence in him. I don't mess with him. That's his area, and I let him go. And I know the players really like what we're doing down there. He changes their bodies. He'll cut a lot of body fat and still add lean muscle mass, quicker, faster, stronger, more explosive. And I've seen the results. And, you look at the GPS numbers sort of here last year relative to maybe where we were the year before. He'll make them faster. So I think, a lot of the guys came in and adapted well, particularly the guys that were used to the program, like the JMU guys, for instance, P5 transfers. It took some of the guys that were returning from this squad last year a little while, but everybody's caught up now, and all the reports are good.
Jack, Mike Schumann.
Hey, Coach. Jack Ankeny with SI Indiana. I had a similar question about Dereck Owings. When you think about those James Madison teams you've had the last few years, are there a few aspects of those teams that you felt like he really helped develop that you saw, maybe from day one of spring practice till the end of the year that got significantly better?
Well, the off season's his baby, right now and then in the summer. Now we'll still maintain and do things during spring ball, fall camp and during the season. But I think he's a big part of what we do. And, that's why I do everything I can to keep him on the roster and pay him as well as I can, because he makes a difference. And, fast and physical, it starts down in that weight room with the development, the body development of each and every guy. So he's a winning edge. And I think our guys are seeing that downstairs right now.
Mike and Daniel.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. Mike Schumann with the Daily Hoosier. You've added some what I would call kind of NFL front office type roles here, like personnel, GM type roles. How important has that kind of stuff become for you over the last 3 or 4 years as things have changed?
Well, I think it's real important here because everybody else has it too. So, you always want to have an edge on the competition, or at least have what they have. And so, the evaluation process being timely, getting guys identified, evaluated in real time is critical. And I think we're real strong there right now.
Daniel, then Jim Coyle.
Yeah, Coach Daniel Flick, IDS. A few of the Sunbelt guys that you added from Troy, from Old Dominion, what did you see from them when you were preparing for them prior to playing them this year? And maybe why are you confident they can translate that success here?
Well, Troy played great defense. They were a hard-nosed team like we were at JMU. John Summerall, I always respected the way they played defense, and McDonald was a good player for them, highly productive. The two ODU guys were position and need guys. We were really thin back there, and probably still need to add a piece or two after spring ball. And, they had both played well, had a lot of tackles, good production, all Sun Belt type honors. We liked what we saw on tape, thought they could help us. So looking forward to seeing them.
Jim and Sammy.
Hi, Coach Jim Foyle with Indiana Sports Speed Radio. You guys are obviously not just planning for today, but tomorrow. You just recently got commitments from a couple of 2025 guys, both of them what I would call regional. One's an in-state guy, one just across the line in Illinois. How important is it to establish those relationships, and what has the reception been like from the coaches and programs?
Huge. It's huge. I mean, I don't care if you're the head coach at Indiana, Texas, or Idaho. You got to do a great job in your state, and we want to dominate our state best we can. And I made every effort to get out there and into the, key schools in January, meet people, talk with prospects, etc. Okay, after your state, now it's the border states and those 2 to 4 hour pockets where there's population and players, Cincinnati, Dayton, Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, Louisville, Detroit, which is 5 hours, but, and there's players scattered in the Midwest, Southwest Michigan, et cetera. To me, that's where it all begins, especially in this day and age with the transfer portal. I mean, guys that grew up watching Big Ten football are more apt to stay in the program for 4 or 5 years than people that really didn't have that kind of bond with the Big Ten, the distance guys. Those are the ones you see go in the portal a little bit more often. That doesn't mean an Indiana guy can't go in the portal. We all know he can. But still, you got to be strong in your state. You got to be strong in the border states, that 4 hour radius. And then you got your distance areas.
Sammy Gonzalez.
Good morning, Coach. You mentioned in an interview with Don Fisher that you haven't used all of spring practices or fall practices in the past. What goes into determining how many practices you hold? And is that like a fluid situation? And how do you think that's going to play out at IU this spring?
Yeah. Well, in this particular case, it was the Indy 500 or the, what do they call it here? Little 500. So that was our best available date to have our spring game, which is going to leave us with 13 practices, which I'm fine with. You can get done what you need to get done in 13 practices. And, fall camp has been kind of the same way. Never really used 25, never used 20 hours in a week. And, sometimes less is more. More isn't always more. And that's the maximum amount they give you. That doesn't mean you have to use them all.
Zion and Seth.
Zion Brown, Indianapolis Star. Nice to talk to you, Curt. My question for you is just coming in, and you've done this obviously before coming into a new program. What have you done so far in these first couple of months to just build bonds and grow relationships with all these new players you're dealing with?
December, honestly, I walked into kind of a crisis roster situation. We had 10 offensive starters in the portal, a number of defensive guys, 25 total. So we were rebuilding and remaking the roster, which, I hate to ever say I was pleased because you can never be pleased and satisfied. But I thought we got a lot of good work done in December and changed the roster, which I'm very optimistic about what we got done in the transfer portal. So, and then in January, we're out on the road recruiting 25. So we haven't been around the kids a lot. Derek's been around the kids, all the time. And, the brief moments I've been back in the office, I try to get down to the weight room, see the guys, see how they're doing, things like that. We'll get an opportunity to spend more time with them now.
Seth, and then back to Matt Weaver.
Seth Tao with the Daily Hoosier. Curt, I wanted to ask you about Pat Kuntz. A lot of people have talked about the energy he brings to coaching and just, the energy he really carries himself with. Just where do you see that come from for him? What's that kind of look like on the field, in the meeting rooms, on the recruiting trail, and just, how has he kind of brought that energy to the job in Indiana?
That's just Pat Kuntz, man. He's a fireball. He loves football. He loves coaching. He loves being on the field. He gets after it in recruiting. He's a high energy guy and probably has been his whole life. That's just the way he's wired. And he's come a long way as a coach in the 3 years he's been with me. And he's been a tremendous asset.
All right, Matt and Mike Niz.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned when you brought in the JMU guys, they knew about winning. They knew about getting championships. They knew about your culture and your structure. How important when you guys get in the summertime and you can't be around the players as much and they're kind of player-led practices, how important will those guys be? And what do they bring to this team as far as off the field intangibles, stuff in the locker room that people don't see?
All the things you just said. I mean, and they're important now. They were important the first day of workouts when Dereck took them out there and the other guys saw those guys and the way they lifted, the way they ran, and they were ahead of a lot of guys, in terms of their conditioning level. And they sort of set a standard. But, we've got a lot of guys that are excelling in that program now. But you just can't have enough guys in your program that think right, that think like champions. And look, let's just face it, the last 3 years here, there hadn't been a lot of success, okay? And you bring in a bunch of people that have had a ton of success, and that's only going to help your football team.
Mike Nees, then Zach Askew.
Yeah, Curt, you mentioned maybe needing another safe or defensive back or two or safety or two. Anywhere else that you kind of view maybe looking at help in the spring, or is that sort of just dependent on kind of how the spring goes and what you see from kind of the performance and production?
Well, assuming we stay healthy in the spring, and there will be probably a handful of key guys not participate in the spring, more on defense than offense. Because of postseason surgery, like Carpenter, for one, Jalen Walker, Carr, Snead, Kidwell on offense, and I'm probably forgetting somebody. But, I think offensively, on paper, we look like we're in pretty good shape right now. Defensively, maybe some depth in some areas, evaluate the back end. Do we have what we need going into the fall? But look, if the NCAA doesn't change its rule back, this multiple transfer rule, you're looking at another transfer wave in May like you had in December. I don't think it'll be as big, but you'll have people coming and going. That's just football right now.
Do you want to see any, sorry to follow up, but changes in the calendar? What's your kind of view on that in terms of the multiple windows and how that works?
I don't have a strong feeling about that.
Okay.
You tell me what the rules are, and I'll thrive within the rules.
All right, Zach Osterman, and we'll wrap with Zach Browning.
Coach, Zach Osterman again with the Indianapolis Star. I wanted to ask about, I think Coach Sunseri added co-OC to his title coming here, but obviously the collaboration between him and Coach Shanahan has been kind of long standing. Just how you see those two work together, how they collaborate, especially in kind of sort of connecting that quarterback position with the wider offense, and what you need from them kind of as you settle into spring practices, building that offense here, kind of just working through all those challenges.
I don't really see Tino's role changing. He's coaching the quarterbacks. I added that title. He's earned that title. It's a group effort, the meetings. I sort of run the offensive staff meetings and steer the direction, but I let those guys coach you guys on the field. I kind of coach coaches. So, we've got a core offense, and, we'll put that core offense in. And then as we evaluate the team and its strengths, we'll start to branch off. But that doesn't really take place until maybe halfway through fall camp. And then once you get in season, we got to figure out who's who and who can do what first.
Zach Browning, last one.
Hey, Coach. Zach Browning, thehoosier.com. When you guys are hitting the recruiting trail as a staff, I'm curious as to what your guys' biggest obstacle has been and how you've overcome that.
I don't know that, that there's any particular obstacle. We got to change the way people think about Indiana. And we've been adamant that, look, we're going to win, and we're going to win this year, and we're going to change the brand and the expectation level and the way people see Indiana football. And we've had 3 junior days, and usually I start out by saying, look, anything you know about Indiana football or any perception you have, you need to erase a tape, because here's what it's going to look like. And but we got to do it on the field. And, when you're successful on the field, then you start to change the way the public and the state and the Big Ten and the country think about Indiana football. And you start putting more people in the stands and selling out games. And then you can't, it's hard to get tickets. But that's what we're going to do. You got to be good in football, because that's where the revenue comes from, man. Football. And there's no reason we can't be successful here. We're going to be successful here. So it's just one day at a time. It's a process right now. It's always a process.